The devotional for March 18, taken from My Utmost for His Highest by Oswald Chambers. You can find a link to the devotional at utmost.org. The key text here today is 2 Corinthians 7, verse 1. Therefore, since we have these promises, dear friends, let us purify ourselves from everything that contaminates body and spirit, perfecting holiness out of reverence for God. Will I bring myself up to this level? Therefore, having these promises, I claim God's promises for my life, and I look to their fulfillment, and rightly so, but that shows only the human perspective on them. God's perspective is that through his promises, I will come to recognize his claim of ownership on me. For example, do I realize that my body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, or am I condoning some habit in my body which clearly could not withstand the light of God on it? 1 Corinthians 6, verse 19. God formed his Son in me through sanctification, setting me apart from sin and making me holy in his sight. See Galatians 4:19. But I must begin to transform my natural life into spiritual life by obedience to him. God instructs us even in the smallest details of life. And when he brings you conviction of sin, do not confer with flesh and blood, but cleanse yourself from it at once. Galatians 1:16. Keep yourself cleansed in your daily walk. I must cleanse myself from all filthiness in my flesh and my spirit until both are in harmony with the nature of God. Is the mind of my spirit in perfect agreement with the life of the Son of God in me, or am I mentally rebellious and defiant? Am I allowing the mind of Christ to be formed in me? See Philippians 2, verse 5. Christ never spoke of his right to himself, but always maintained an inner vigilance to submit his spirit continually to his Father. I also have the responsibility to keep my spirit in agreement with his spirit, and when I do, Jesus gradually lifts me up to the level where he lived, a level of perfect submission to his Father's will, where I pay no attention to anything else. Am I perfecting this kind of holiness in the fear of God? Is God having his way with me, and are people beginning to see God in my life more and more? Be serious in your commitment to God, and gladly leave everything else alone. Literally put God first in your life. Talk about a timely passage and a timely text, a timely word. There is a reference in here to Christ's right to himself, and in another devotional, Oswald Chambers talks about giving up his right to himself, and that's what we are to do, is to give up our right to ourselves. And I like that phrasing. I like that the way that he puts it, even as he talks about surrender and coming into alignment with God and God's desire for our lives. Because right now, one of the things that we're thinking about is, what do we have the right to do? But that's always been true. It's just more elevated and more to the surface right now, given everything that is happening in and around us. Do I have the right to have my own desires about how things should go? Things are changing quickly. And is it about my hopes and my dreams and my plans, or is it about God being first in my life and God transforming me? Well, we know the answer in our head is that it's about God first. But then when it really comes down to it, and when we're living in our day-to-day lives, we often put ourselves first. We do. That's our sinful nature. That's our flesh. And that is where we have to remember that Christ's life, sanctifying work in our lives, what it's meant to do is to bring us in right relationship with God. His death paid our penalty for our sins. His life brings us in relationship with God and restores us. But so often we still want our own way. And I've been thinking about that a lot. I've been wrestling with that a lot, just in the sense that a lot of the words that I give to others is words of encouragement. They're coming back to me to see if I will also live them, if I will give up my own right to my ways and my plans. And so that is our encouragement. That is our word, and that is what we should meditate on. that we are ultimately surrendering ourselves to God and giving up our right to ourselves so that God can have his way in us.